Well, it's like one of those things too
I got
where,
stuck with.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's one of those things where when you start to get frustrated of like what can one person do, as in yourself or somebody else, and I've been trying to think like as long as I can make my own backyard a better place, I hope that others are making their own backyard a better place, and maybe that adds up to
Mhm.
something.
Yeah, yeah, sure it does. I mean, it's every little helps, as the Tesco supermarket slogan goes.
Well, I was re-listening to some of your specials from back in the day, and it's surreal when you hear the topics that you talk about. It's almost like you could just replace the old politicians' names with the new politicians' names, and it would sound like it was a joke that was made today.
Yeah, as I said before, it's too bad.
Yeah, yeah. What do you see right now with comedy? Because I know like it's going through a lot of fluctuations as it does. It seems almost every 20 years there's this huge boom, with like the 80s, and then in the last 10 years it's really starting to take off. Obviously with vehicles like Netflix and YouTube, but what do you see right now as someone who really worked their way up through all of those clubs and just good stages, bad stages of where the craft is in the digital age?
Well, I there are, and this doesn't simply just apply to comedy. It's really in any art form. But now that there are so many ways to access it and so many vehicles to get your stuff out there, there's way, 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 way more garbage to shift through. But there's also way more good stuff. There's some really funny, great comics out there, and getting these sets ready. And I'd have guests. I had more when I first started because I didn't have much material. I was just riffing and stuff, and then kind of winnowed them down as I continued to get the set together. But I got to see a lot of really funny comics that I'd never seen before, heard of, because I don't really. It's not my world. I don't go to comedy clubs and hang out. And there's great, really funny, different types of comics out there. Lots of them, really great stuff. And I've been doing these comedy festivals or music festivals and stuff with comedy, and it's great. I'm encouraged by some really sharp people out there.
What's your journey taught you? I mean, you've been involved in comedy for what, at least 30 years at this point, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. More really.
What surprised you the most about being on this path of the art of comedy?
I'm not sure how to answer that question. I'm not sure what it means.
I guess
what
when you start out young and that's what you want to do, and now you've been mining the creative spirit for 30 plus years, and what is it that still not only speaks to you but also what keeps that flame going?
Well, I think part of it is ego and narcissism and low self-esteem, and I need the validation that you get with stand-up. I shouldn't say I need it, but I crave it. I want it. I desire it, and that's not to say it's all negative. I love doing stand-up. I love getting on stage. I love talking to people like that. I love doing my jokes. I love doing my bits. I love finding them with the crowd. Like the process of getting this particular tour together was, I approached it in a way I've never really approached it before, and wrote, because I write on stage.
Yeah.
So it's a very enjoyable process for me, and it's irreplaceable in the sense that you can't, like all these other things I do, write a story, write a screenplay, write a TV show and create these characters, or direct something, or produce something, or act in something. Those are all fun, cool things to do, but it doesn't satisfy the same thing that getting up on stage, just me and a microphone in the audience does. I don't think anything ever will. It's irreplaceable.
Well, my final question is, what is a life being involved in comedy and being a stand-up and traveling the world and making people laugh, and also creating dialogue within social circles? What does that touch you about what it means to be a human being?
That's an interesting question. I don't have an answer at the ready, but I suppose it's not that I've learned these lessons, but I'm certainly a little more aware of communicative skills and communicating and trying to be somewhat. I guess one lesson I've learned is that if I have a point of view and idea that is polarizing, or is not popular, or is difficult, that I have to be able to defend it, and I say this in the guise of a joke or a bit that is I know will be offensive to some people. It's not enough to, and I think I used to do this. I used to have this attitude when I was younger, just more of a punk attitude of just like, fuck them, I don't give a shit. And some people still have that, I don't care. And I just, if nothing else, I need to be able to defend it. I need to be able to articulate why I'm going to do that bit and why I'm going to continue to do this bit, even though it pisses people off, even though they feel a certain way. I think I've learned the value of that, and that's important, as opposed to when I was younger, I was just like, fuck them, I'm going to say this and I'm going to do that, and who fuck them if they can't take a joke or whatever. I think I've learned that, as I've learned that piece of humanity.